Here we go again. Another day, another controversy started by the damn wokers. In case you haven't gotten the memo, you are not allowed to have fun anymore. You're not allowed to joke around. You are not allowed to make light of anything. Have you noticed the decline of stand up comedy? Stand up comedy is dead. Late night talk shows like Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, they are mild when you look at Jay Leno or David Letterman, or even look at Jimmy Fallon 10 years ago. They're not as funny as they used to be because they're not allowed to be as funny as they used to be. It's the same with Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live used to offend people. They don't do that anymore. It is impossible to be woke and be in comedy. You just can't do it. For most comedians, the backbone of their routine is saying things that could be offensive. They shock you. Chris Rock has spent most of his stand up career making fun of white people, black people. He is an equal opportunity offender. Artie Lang would never make it if he were starting out in comedy in 2021. Howard Stern rose to fame on radio, offending everybody. The Howard Stern you hear on radio today, that is not Howard Stern. Go find his shows from the 90s, the 80s, even his early days at Sirius in '06, '07, '08. He went after everyone. No one was off limits, including himself. He spent a lot of time self deprecating. The majority of musical artists who rose to fame in the 90s, 2000s, they would never make it today. They would be canceled before their album was even released because something in their promotional single might offend someone. Jack Morris is the latest victim of the woke agenda, the cancel culture. Jack Morris is a Hall of Fame baseball pitcher. He's in his late 60s now. He's a broadcaster for the Detroit Tigers, or he was. Wouldn't surprise me if he loses his job later today. That should not be the case, but that's the times we're living in, where corporations are so afraid of negative reaction from losers on social media that they are quick to bow to the political pressure. The Angels were in town last night to play the Tigers, in a game no one outside of Los Angeles or Detroit cared about. Shohei Ohtani was coming to the plate. Jack Morris was asked how the Tigers should approach pitching to him. It's a reasonable question. Jack Morris is a former pitcher. He has insight into how you pitch to an elite hitter. I'm going to play the clip for you guys so you can hear his response in context. Hopefully, I don't get a copyright strike. I've been getting a lot of requests lately to play video or audio clips like this. I've always been hit with strikes in the past, so I'm hesitant to do it, but here we go.
Now what do you do with Shohei Ohtani?
Be very careful.
You walk him.
Do you find that offensive? Jack Morris is being accused of mocking Shohei Ohtani. I don't see how the wokers are coming to that conclusion. I don't think he was mocking him. I don't think he meant anything by this. I don't even think he was really trying to use an Asian accent. He was saying this in jest, like, this dude's a dangerous hitter. Be very careful. Shohei Ohtani, to his credit, hasn't said anything publicly about the four little words that Jack Morris said that are so offensive. And he shouldn't. He shouldn't. This should be a non-issue. 2 years ago, this would not even be a story. If you weren't watching this game live, you wouldn't have even known about this. But in 2021, everything has to be about race. This story is not about Jack Morris and Shohei Ohtani. It is about the far left doing everything they can to silence people, to keep you divided. I think most reasonable people will see this for what it really is. And I hope Shohei Ohtani does as well. I hope he lets the story die. But he doesn't have to say anything at all because the woke media is doing all the talking for him. Jack Morris issued somewhat of an apology a few minutes later. It was clear that he was being forced to apologize on the air. I don't think he believes that he said anything wrong. Headline over at Deadspin. Apology not accepted, Jack Morris. This is why I always say, when someone gets into a situation like this where woke Twitter and the media go into overdrive with their overreaction, there's no point in apologizing because they're not going to accept your apology anyway. It isn't about what you said. They don't care about what you said. It's about using what you said to further the agenda. These people are masters of taking things out of context and spinning it to fit their purpose. Deadspin tried to frame Jack Morris as a racist and a misogynist. They referenced a situation back in 2014 where Jack Morris was edging right up to racism. They then go way back into the past to some off-color remarks that Jack Morris said to a female reporter back in the 70s or the 80s. Now, from what I can tell, the reporter was in the locker room after a game. Jack Morris must have just gotten out of the shower. And he says to her, "I don't talk to women when I'm naked unless I'm on top of them or they're on top of me." The reporter was Jennifer Frey. Now, was this comment out of line? Sure. I mean, it wouldn't fly in the Me Too era today, but comments like that, they were common in the 70s or 80s. Doesn't make it right, it's just the way it was back then. Context. My thing is, what the hell does that comment from 40, 50 years ago have to do with what Jack Morris said last night? We can dig up relics from the past on everybody and find something controversial, negative, off color. This is what the far left does. Jack Morris is the latest victim of cancel culture. Headline over at Yahoo: Tigers broadcaster Jack Morris apologizes for using apparent racist joke. Similar headline at The Guardian, The Athletic, damn near every media outlet you can find. This is what constitutes racism in 2021. Using a fake accent. I just don't get it. I don't get it. What do you think the reaction would be if an African American broadcaster or an Asian broadcaster used a typical nerdy white accent or a redneck accent, just joking around when talking about a white player? There wouldn't be any reaction. It only constitutes racism if it's a white dude talking about a minority. The wokers do this to silence us. They're trying to make people afraid to speak. They're trying to make you think about everything you say before you say it so you don't offend someone. Basically, they want everyone to be unnatural and robotic. What do you guys think? Do you think the comments Jack Morris made were racist, the accent, or whatever? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.